Gotta go.
It's loading up right now, fellas.
Damn, I want a different chair though.
I'm pulling it up on my laptop. I'm gonna watch this as we do this.
Me too. I got it on my iPad.
How do you watch live? Where is it at? Oh, here we go. Right now, it's live right now.
Yep.
Oh shit, I can see us.
Oh, I can hear us. Oh, that's because I have the YouTube.
Oh, here we go. Right now, it's live right now. Yep. Oh shit, I can see us.
Oh, I can hear us.
Taylor, you look like you're in a crawl space.
I know. I'm struggling. Maybe I'll
It's like,
angle it a little bit.
I am in a crawl space.
My dad, does that look better?
Ah, looks good. Looks good. There's a
There
plant
you go.
behind
You get the fan. Yeah.
Some of the-
Boo,
yeah,
Taylor.
some of the plants behind
Boo.
me. Yeah.
Boo.
Hey,
Taylor, you
Well,
remember
first
we was
you
at the poker? You remember we was at the poker table and you was like, "God damn it, Deborah!" That was hilarious. He was like, "God damn it, Deborah!" Pook, since you wanted to be a phony friend, you missed out on the casino, buddy. You suck. Nah, don't try to
True.
ignore me.
I do remember that. I remember what you're talking about. The blackjack table, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right. That was fun. We did well that night. We gotta go back.
Yeah, we did pretty well. You just have to
Is there a
use
way-
the dealer.
Oh, Sean, I think you might owe me some money from that casino trip too.
Oh, you're a 20 piece, bro. You spotted me 20 and I came up like 250.
You
off
had
of it.
nothing. You had nothing.
I know
gave
you. I know I lost my money, and then you gave me a 20.
Every time Sean needed to double down, he took it from my pot, my stack.
Until
He
I-
needed to double down, I got him, right?
You stay down till you
he
come
paid me
up.
back.
You know,
If he won, he paid me back, but he did not lose that night. He was hitting.
we was on
Getting my
fire.
money.
We was on fire. Notorious. Y'all see my lovely wall art?
Very cute.
Thank you. Thank you. Designed it myself. And we are la, baby. Get in here. Tune in. Coming through your speakers. Can we? I know it's a basketball podcast. We're gonna talk about WAP though.
no, we're not at all.
Yes,
Why would
let's
we do that?
absolutely
No.
talk about WAP.
Let's talk
No.
about some WAP.
No, we're
Let's
not
talk
going to talk
about
about
it.
WAP.
We talking
That
about WAP though.
bullshit. That bullshit.
We talking about WAP though.
I don't
No.
care. That is insane.
Eli. At
Let's
what
talk
age
WAP.
do you let your daughter listen to WAP?
Never.
18.
That's fair.
Never. I never let my daughter listen to
Whatever
WAP.
she emancipates herself.
18 a little late for that, buddy. Nah, people are crazy, bro. People are crazy.
Actually, if she get a scholarship to UConn, she can do whatever she wants.
There you go.
Fair enough.
True. That's true. That's true. But that's not the people we talking about.
Yeah. Then she can
Those
give
are
that
the
WAP
people-
to Gino. Then Gino can get all in that WAP, man.
Gina's gonna be in a wheelchair by then.
Gino, how many former players has Gino had sex with? Over under 5.5, Taylor?
Over.
Oh man, he's been there for a while. It's gonna be like 8.5.
8.5.
Well, I don't know, because he does kind of. I think he seems like the guy. He attaches himself to like one girl per, like
Yeah.
4 years. So I'd say 3.5 maybe. 8.5.
that's
is a
better.
little extreme.
That's better.
This is an actual conversation we're having live on the All In Network YouTube channel.
All in that work, giving you the best freaking topics in the world, baby.
Nobody's talking about this stuff but us.
Who else give it to you like that? Who else give it to you? All right, check it.
We about ready?
I was gonna get my WAP talk out, but whatever. Whatever. Fine. No, go ahead.
So I'm about to start recording.
But no, I'm joking. Should I be recording mine?
No.
I don't need to.
No.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready? Welcome, everybody. For those of you that have been tuning in to the first few minutes of the live stream, we've had some interesting convos, but we are here today for our first ever live all-in podcast. I'm one of your extremely good-looking co-hosts, Eli Cooper, and I'm joined by my partner in crime. Not sure where he's at on the screen that you're looking at currently, but my guy Mike Badzik is in the building today. How you doing, man?
Doing good. The other extremely good-looking co-host is in the building, and we have a plethora of co-hosts with us. We've got a whole crew today.
Yeah.
Woo!
So, as you guys can see, some guests who have previously been on our podcast before have joined us again. We'll start with my guy Todd, who's joined us the most for NBA stuff. How's it going, Todd?
Going great. We got a live show, full house. I'm ready to go. I'm bringing the heat today.
Yes, he is.
Okay,
The Kendrick
okay.
Perkins, the Kendrick Perkins of the All In podcast.
And then we got to introduce my guy, who's also a part of the All NFC panel. Just turned 25, so he can now rent a car.
Hey,
Wow.
give it up. Give it
Deshaun
up.
Turner is in the building today, people. How you doing, my guy?
I'm good. I'm feeling great. Loving some life right now.
Appreciate
You
you
can
joining
go.
the.
You can go ahead. If you ain't here, you can go ahead. Drop me the belated birthdays. That'd be appreciated. You see the
Give
name.
them the
right
cash
there.
app.
Yes,
They
if you
don't.
guys.
I even dropped my cash app for y'all. send me a buck or two.
So everybody tuning into the live right now, feel free to run up the comment section on anything we're discussing. Have free dialogue there. Make sure you like. If you don't already subscribe to the channel, go ahead and do that as well. And finally, we have to get to our last guest, our mock draft expert, Taylor Antisdale. How's it going, bro?
Awesome, man. Excited to be here. Excited for the first live show.
It's been a while, man. We missed you.
I know it has been a while. Good to be back, though.
We
Peach
appreciate
Mango
you, man.
Mamba is in the house.
All right. So today, as you guys know, we are doing our version of the NBA awards. And we're going to take it a little bit further. We have some additional awards that we're going to hand out today. And we'll get to those in just a second. So just to give everybody kind of a, inside look to how we came to these awards, all five of us voted based on the nominees that the NBA picked and chose for the official awards, at least from those candidates. And then we kind of just threw our own names in there for some of the additional awards that we're doing. So we're going to start with the all NBA teams voted on by yours truly. And we'll start with the first team. For the guards, none other than year 17, King James. The other guard position, James Harden of the Houston Rockets. The forward position, Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers. At the other forward position, another possible MVP candidate, Giannis Antetokounmpo, a.k.a. the Greek Freak. And at the center position, Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, RSA, I'm not surprised we're unanimous in the first team. RSA, I think those guys have a pretty big impact on the NBA. So
Correction, we were not unanimous on the
We are
first
not.
team.
who switched it up? Who had him? Hold up.
Eli was the only one. We all had that team except Eli had Luka on first team instead of Kawhi.
I did. And the reason for that is Luka had an incredible season statistically. And I had LeBron at a forward position, even though I know he played a lot of point guard. So obviously that would have bumped out. LeBron actually would have bumped out Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, because I had him listed as a forward. So that's really the only discrepancy that I would have. Kawhi obviously is deserving there, so I'm not gripe really with that.
Right. I was just going to say that's a great point. Like this year, allowing the positions to be more free, allowing to pick where we want to pick people. And I think you're right. Like if it would have been more traditional, I think Kawhi definitely gets bumped in most years. But I think he's definitely going to sneak in there this year for the real award as well.
Right. So I'm not going to lie. I kind of forgot that you could do that. I probably would have had Kawhi in there because he had an excellent year, averaged like 27, 7, and 5. But Luka's deserving in my opinion as well. So I think our list there is pretty good. So we're going to move on to the second team now.
Can you tell me who most people had at point guard right here, second team? Can you say that louder, please?
On the second team, the first guard that we have listed is Chris Paul.
Yeah, my guy.
Of the Oklahoma City Thunder. As you guys can see, Sean is an avid Chris Paul apologist.
Yeah.
And leads the league in Chris Paul playoff excuses.
All right, it's cool. I already said at least my 2 biggest stars on my team are injury prone.
We're going to hit it. We're going right where it hurts. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, the second guard position is someone who has been in the news quite a bit recently. I think we should talk about him for a second after we get through the team. We'll come back to this guy. Damian Lillard. Lillard, who is having an excellent bubble right now and has been all over the media with his beefs with Pat Bev, Paul George, and most recently Skip Bayless. I don't know. People keep fueling this guy, and he just keeps having incredible games right after. Anyway,
he's killing
my
people.
guy.
Cooper, I thought you meant Skip Bayless. People keep fueling that guy.
Yeah, well, yes, people do keep fueling Skip Bayless.
People need to leave him alone.
Well, someone said that Dame made Skip Bayless so mad he praised LeBron, and I could not stop laughing. So we'll get to the forward position now, and Luka Doncic is at our first forward spot. Again, he qualifies for both as a 2 or a 3. The other forward went to Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat. He had an incredible season this year. And at the center spot, Nikola Jokic came in at the 5 spot. Any gripes about the second team?
I got one.
Oh yeah, I know you do.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just gonna read a couple of statistics to you. Okay. One of these point guards averaged 19.5 and 7.5 assists, and is arguably one of the best defensive point guards in the league. One of these guys averaged 17.5 points, 6.5 assists, and is also a really good defender. Not as good as the first guy I mentioned. The first guy I mentioned is probably the best player on the second seed in the Eastern Conference. I'm talking about Kyle Lowry.
Drum roll, please.
And the second player I'm talking about is Chris Paul. And I love Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul. But I'm just saying, if we're looking at this objectively and we're not saying Chris Paul surprised us this year, if we're not saying Chris Paul is older so he gets a little bit of bonus points this year, I think Lowry deserves the spot over Chris Paul. And I have Chris Paul on my third team.
Okay.
And Chris Paul had like a 0.2% chance to make it into the playoffs this year. They're vying for a 6 seed. I think the Raptors have a more talented cast around him, and maybe a little Chris Paul is old and put the team on his back. But like the best fourth quarter numbers in the NBA this year.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that.
Come on, give it up, Mike. Come on.
No, I'm not giving it up. I'm still taking Lowry, and I think Lowry's still been more impressive. I think the Raptors maintaining the 2 seed is just as impressive as the Thunder achieving a 5 or 6 seed. Right? I mean, I can see that. If you were watching the preseason shows, the Raptors were projected. A lot of people had them out of the playoffs. A lot of people had them 6, 7, 8 seeds, if that high. I think it's just as impressive to take that team to the 2 seed. Now, I think if we're looking at it now and we're saying, he has more talent around him, you can make some arguments. The Thunder do not have a bad team around Chris Paul. I mean, we're going to talk. Sean, I know Sean voted for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as his most improved player. He didn't win, but I know you voted for that. Dennis Schroeder is getting a lot of looks for 6th man of the year. Steven Adams is a legitimate NBA center who's pretty good, defensively especially. Danilo Gallinari, one of my all-time favorites. Very, very solid player. Like, I'm telling you, like, the Thunder aren't that bad. We're giving Chris Paul, I think we're giving Chris Paul a little bit too much credit. Just a little bit.
They're going to beat the Rockets in the first round, for what it's worth.
Maybe.
But that's another subject for another show. So those of you tuning in, we'll let the fans settle this. If you're tuning in, comment Kyle Lowry or Chris Paul. I think your bigger gripe, Mike, if you're gonna go to bat here for a Raptor, should be Siakam over Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Why is Siakam not over Jimmy Butler?
No, I maybe I had Siakam third team and Butler second team, but I just think it's because what Butler has done for Miami is really a lot, even probably more than Siakam's done for Toronto. And Siakam's putting up great numbers, and he's taken a leap this year. But I think Butler has just had an entire culture shift on Miami, starting defensively, and he's the number one option for them, where Siakam's not really the number one option. So, hey, I'm just saying that so nobody thinks I'm always Raptors biased, but
we're splitting hairs.
If you don't,
we're splitting hairs with that one. We're splitting hairs.
Fair enough.
But here's a question. I have a question. So we're doing these teams based on the regular season before the bubble, right?
Yes,
so if we included the bubble, I'll throw this to everyone, I guess. If we're including the bubble, maybe we'll start with Taylor here. If we're including the bubble, does Dame jump to first team over Harden?
Yes.
Or Kawhi?
Over Harden.
No.
Over Kawhi. Over Kawhi.
I say you're gonna have Kawhi.
Well, you can't put him over Kawhi. Well, I guess if you move LeBron.
No.
I would take him over Kawhi.
Okay. Damian Lillard. I mean, one of the best point guards in the league. I'm not putting him over LeBron, and I'm not putting him over James Harden because of 7 games? Because of must-win games every single night, right? Like, they don't have they have to win every night. He feels he's putting his team on his back, and he's going off. But I don't think these last 7 games, I don't think that warrants him a first team, right? Like, I mean, is Devin Booker a third team candidate now because he goes 7-0? Like,
no. Fuck Devin Booker. That's not the same argument.
Yeah, that's not really the same argument.
I mean, I get.
I don't know. I think I could switch Lillard and Kawhi, move LeBron to a forward. I'd be totally cool with that.
Yeah, I don't think we're putting him over LeBron, and maybe not even James Harden, but I think a legitimate argument can be made for him over Kawhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's still going to be on a sub-500 team.
That's true. And I don't know if you can be all NBA first team on a sub-500 team.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's talk about
if we do bump Kawhi out, because his point was James Harden and where they're at. Where is the Rockets at in their conference?
In the West without James Harden? They're fourth right now.
Right now they're fourth.
Right.
So if they go into the playoffs, who are they end up playing if they drop from that 5 spot?
They're probably going to play the Thunder.
They probably play the Thunder if they drop to that 5 spot? 4 and 5?
Yeah.
4 and 5 play each other.
Yeah. I got you. I think he's comfortable there. I think that's why you see them experimenting with what they're doing. Because I think if they move up to that 3rd spot and beat Denver out, then you have to play Utah.
So everybody wants to play Utah.
But I think
everybody wants to play Utah. I don't know if I want to play Utah over the Thunder.
Not if I'm the Rockets. They couldn't think. You couldn't picture somebody in that tier that would dominate you more on the glass against PJ Tucker than Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert get played off the court.
Right. I think they'd love to play the Jazz.
Counter.
You think? Okay. I mean,
I don't think. Who's guarding?
Yeah.
I want Rudy Gobert post touches all day. Give me that. So to the Rockets.
Yeah, like if that's the offense, if that's your option, like give it to Rudy Gobert. I'd take that.
Oh yeah,
I'd rather have that than Jokic.
Jokic will kill you.
True. That's fair.
All fair arguments. But let's get moving on to the 3rd team. So this is where Mike's beloved Kyle Lowry falls at the 1st guard spot. The 2nd guard spot goes to Chris Middleton. The 1st forward spot goes to the light-skinned killer, Jason Tatum. The other forward spot goes to Siakam, and the third team All-NBA center position goes to Rudy Gobert. Any gripes that we have here? No?
All right. I had the light
okay.
skin killer on second team.
Okay.
I'll just put that out there.
I did see that in the voting. So who'd you take him over?
Butler. I put Butler third team. And I agree with everything Mikey said about, I think Jimmy Butler just totally is all in Miami culture. And I think that he is the number one option and all the stuff we went through. But I think that, Tatum and Siakam have pretty similar numbers. I'll give it that, Siakam was on, a seed higher, but I think Tatum is that true number one option. He's the guy, he's the star, and the Celtics are no joke. And I just think that Tatum, I guess, maybe this isn't fair, but, his projection for the rest of the season without this stoppage, I think that tear doesn't stop. I think that is who Jason Tatum is now. And I think that, maybe it's a little projecting, but I think that he, even over the course of the season that was played, I think he deserved that second team spot.
Fair enough. I wanted to put Tatum higher up on my list. I don't think I had him on any of my all NBA teams.
Neither did I.
I couldn't really find a spot for him over, and that's mostly because I had LeBron as a forward. So like that bumped Kawhi to second team, and then that bumped, Jimmy Butler to like third team or something like that. So maybe if I put LeBron at a guard spot, I can squeeze him in there. But yeah.
I didn't have him on a team either. And I had Ben Simmons on that third team. I think he's the best defensive guard in the league. I know maybe I did it just for Coop. He's the best defensive guard in the league. He was, a really good piece on a good Sixers team. Tatum I don't know. I'm not all the way in on Tatum yet. Maybe I am all the way in on him going forward, but as far as this season, I mean, he averaged 23. So that's solid. That's solid. 23 solid.
He was a little streaky for me though. Like there were months where he was bad.
Like the beginning of the season, he was not that great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like 16, 8, and 8 is super tough, and I agree. Best defensive guard, one of the best defensive players, period, in the whole league. But I think just the Sixers taste in my mouth, I couldn't do it. I wanted to put him on there over Lowry, but I just couldn't. Like, there's something. I couldn't do it. I just like the Sixers such a disappointment, and I mean he has so much more potential than he's already showing. I couldn't put him on there.
So what about Gobert though? Because I had Gobert on my third team, and I don't know if anybody else had Gobert on their teams or not. So Gobert gets a lot of shit, and Sod is all the way out on Gobert.
Rightfully so.
He averaged 15 and 13 and a half, 2 blocks. 70% from the field. He's still one of the best 2 or 3 defensive centers in the league, right? Easily. So what do you hate about him so much?
That he gave everybody COVID.
Teammates. Yeah, his teammates don't like him. He complains on the court constantly. I don't know.
Does that matter for this?
No, but I'm saying that overall. But okay, but here's the thing: who's more? So I put Adebayo on my third team, and Adebayo is an offensive threat. He's a defensive threat. He's a better switch onto smaller guys. He has some great advanced metrics. And maybe it is a little biased, but if we're doing this on who are the best players, I want Adebayo on my team over Gobert this year.
Fair enough.
That's fine.
That's fair, but I still think it's biased because maybe the Jazz don't need to lean on Rudy Gobert to be another score option or even a ball handler for that matter, like they do in Miami. That's why I put Jimmy on my third team and not Tatum because, like Mike said, he completely came in and flipped the complete culture. I was watching him play the other day, and they were up 14 points with around 5 minutes to go, and they just had people taking jump shots the entire time, shot themselves out of that win, and end up losing. If you have Jimmy Butler on the floor, that doesn't happen.
That's facts.
Taylor, who was your third team center?
I had two things that were different. I had Ben Simmons over Chris Middleton. I mean, I don't have an argument with Middleton, but I just think, everything you guys said about Ben Simmons being the best defensive guard. I mean, he's like 6'9", most steals in the league, right? 2.1 steals a game. Like, he can guard literally anybody on the floor. So versatile. Other than shooting, I guess. And then I actually had Joel Embiid on my third team.
I did too, Taylor. I did too.
So I mean, like, and like
it.
Asad said, that 76ers, stink to it. I get it. Like, him and Ben Simmons don't really play that great together. What would they finish? They're 6th. Like, that's a huge disappointment. I don't know. But he's like one of the most dominant. He is the most dominant big man, like old school center in the game right now, right? And he is a little bit come and go. I get that. It's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating that somebody has to poke him to even maybe to get a quarter out of him sometimes, right? He still hasn't really gotten shape. I get it, but like, he's still one of the most dominant bigs in the league. I find it hard to keep him off an all NBA team.
I like that.
Fair enough.
I like that.
All right. So those are our all NBA teams. For those of you that are tuning in right now, we will be posting an article on the website here with the list of all the awards and the all NBA teams that we voted on here. So you guys have record and an article to look at to see that. So stay tuned for that. And I think it's about time now we move on to the awards that we picked personally to add on to the official ones. Now, right after we had announced that we were going to add some awards, the NBA announced that they were going to do like a bubble MVP and bubble awards. So I feel as though the NBA should have at least given credit to our idea. They clearly listened to the podcast, but
content creators, baby. Tell them about you.
And I know they did. Here's why, because they actually got at us for a copyright infringement on our second to last episode. So we can't monetize that episode because we used NBA highlights. So
Boo, NBA.
the NBA watches our podcast. No, I'm kidding.
They lurking out there. They watching you.
We're going to start with the most disappointing team. Now, this is throughout the season, not just for the bubble. Disappointing team. And this one almost went unanimous. And it was, unfortunately, my Philadelphia Sixers. And I feel I should be the one to talk about this here. So,
I agree.
Here's my only thing. I almost didn't put the Sixers because I knew they were going to be bad when they signed Al Horford. So I wasn't disappointed. I knew it was coming. I knew that fit was never going to happen, and they finished in the 6th seed. However, with the talent that they have, they should be a better basketball team, plain and simple. It's the problem is the pieces don't fit, and that's clear as day. So they certainly were disappointing this year. Just me personally, I was not surprised because when you try to put a point guard who doesn't shoot jump shots on the floor with Embiid, who loves to post up, and then you're gonna add another center, which is what Al Horford is, not a power forward, he's a center. You try to add that into the mix, you're asking not to have any spacing on the floor and not to have any kind of offensive fluency. So that results in you being a 6th seed.
Mm-hmm. And how about the defense too? They should be the greatest, on paper, one of the best defensive teams of all time. And for whatever reason, even on defense, those pieces just don't fit.
Exactly. And I think that's where the disappointment comes in, is because regardless of how you fit offensively, they really shouldn't have had any defensive issues, I don't think. I think their biggest problem defensively is, don't get me wrong, Embiid's an excellent rim protector. But like we have talked about a few times on the show, he cannot guard in pick and roll situations. And that is like the play or set that is run 90% of the time in today's NBA. So is he really that effective for us defensively if he can't defend in those situations? So I think that kind of
I think he can defend in those situations. I think he's just lazy half the time.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. I agree 100% is that it's laziness. And maybe it's because he has to carry such an offensive workload. I don't know, but you can't tell me that Rudy Gobert can defend in pick and roll situations and Joel Embiid can't.
Right.
Physically. You know what I mean? From a physical standpoint, there's no reason that Joel Embiid can't move his feet on defense. Simple as that. But I understand the Sixers. Now, Taylor, you had the Pelicans as your most disappointing team. I think you're the only person who didn't vote for the Sixers. What was your reasoning behind the Pelicans?
We're talking all season, right?
Yes, all season.
Well, the Pelicans, and listening to, gambling podcasts before the season, right? This was a lock on, I don't know what podcast I was listening to. They were a lock at like 42 and a half games going over, right? That was their lock, right? They got this new influx of talent like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Zion. I get Zion was hurt, but I mean, they're not even on the list that I wrote down for the current standings, right? Like they collapsed in the bubble. I don't know. I guess you could say that it's Zion. Maybe you guys didn't vote for him because Zion was out and, he didn't have a chance to impact the team. But I don't know. I just expected more from them even without Zion. I thought they had a good enough core without him that they could have, give himself like a more reasonable shot. They would have been closer once Zion came into the picture. They just came out flat. Remember in the beginning of the season, they were on TNT like every night. Yep. TNT every night. And
it's like 60 national games, and he didn't play in any of them.
Right. It's like it was easy to go to bed at 10:30 when the Pelicans were on. It was like, all right,
yeah, right.
Flat, that's boring. You know, that's one of the hardest things. Like 10:30 at night. I can watch the Kings and the Warriors, curryless Warriors play, but like the Pelicans are just like, again. I know they were anticipating Zion. It's just flat. They were just flat. I don't know. And then even with Zion, they did get a little bit hot, but then in the bubble, I guess minute restrictions, I get it, but it's 3 months. Why is he a minute? I don't understand. I guess I missed something. I don't understand the minute restrictions in the bubble. They had no shot. They were done.
Well,
so they're my biggest disappointment.
He was quite large in the bubble. I think that's why they put him on a minute restriction. He was
the gumbo.
They took pictures of him in the break, and he looked ripped, and then he was so big.
Yeah.
It's all about them angles.
I think the Pelicans certainly were disappointing in the bubble. I think that's because like we didn't really expect Zion to be on that much of a minute, 15 minutes of a minute restriction. I didn't expect that. I would say like maybe 25 to 30, but they had him on a 15. You can't really do anything with that. So from the standpoint where even if you're looking at it, like I didn't vote for them because Zion was hurt. But if you look at it, like you were expecting the Pelicans to win 42 games, like regardless of who was healthy, like that's disappointing that Zion wasn't able to play most of those games. So, that's a valid pick. So
and really everyone on their roster besides Brandon Ingram was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
And are we sure Alvin Gentry's a good coach? This is a whole other thing, but
I don't love him.
He's fired, bro. He's gone.
I don't love him.
He's gone. I think he's gone. Yeah.
He's gone.
Gone.
Should be.
I hope. They're going to get Ty Lue. David Griffin, Ty Lue connection.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So disappointing player was the next category that we had. And this award, unfortunately, went to Mike Conley of the Utah Jazz. And most of us, except for one person again, had Mike Conley. And Todd was the person who didn't have Mike Conley. So give us your reasoning for Zion.
So this is beat up on the Pelicans corner. But okay, so bottom line, 19 games, not great. And, like Taylor was saying, a lot of televised games. Didn't get to see him out there. Once he comes out there, great. Like he's doing his thing. He looks promising. Minutes restriction, I get. For me, though, I'm taking into account that we had 4 months off. He comes back. He's still in a minutes restriction. And also the defense this year was bad. Not even like, he's trying hard, but he doesn't know where. No, like he was lazy. He was lethargic. He didn't know where to be. And occasionally he used his athleticism to get a block or something. But I think overall the offense is there. But long-term, I still don't trust the three-point shooting. I think defensively, he's going to have to get a lot better. And overall, I mean, just from my perspective, the only playing 19 games just really this was supposed to be the year of Zion. And this was supposed to be this, I really did expect whatever it is, just a huge storm. And, I think overall it was underwhelming. For all the hype that we spent all offseason talking about Zion, I think by far this was the most underwhelming part of the season.
They put the Pelicans on every night, man. Every night.
Yeah,
I agree. But wait, are we out on Zion, Todd?
I'm not out on Zion, but if we do this redraft, you're taking Ja.
Whoa! It's early for that. It's early for that, I would say.
I'm taking Josh. I got all the.
Can I go in on Mike Conley?
Let's hold on. Let's leave the redraft to the expert, okay? Let's leave
Yeah.
that to the guy that writes the art. No, I'm kidding.
Can I go in on Mike Conley now?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Go crazy.
Sean.
Biggest disappointment for me. Let me read you
Why?
a few things.
Okay, go ahead.
Only got in around 47 games, so a lot less games than he came off last year, closer to 70.
Yeah.
Went from 21 points to 14 points, so scoring a lot less. Shot less field goals, which makes sense. Shooting percentage went down. 3-point percentage stayed around the same. He's not in the passing lanes as much, so his defense dropped, and less assists. I just think for him to go into Utah and you swap out Rubio, you think they're going to get a much better flow of offense. And it doesn't look like that from them. And that actually even touches on my opinion on Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a little bit overrated. That's honest. Like he's clearly
facts.
But he just doesn't have he doesn't. What's up, Mike? Give me that look. He just doesn't.
I think the Jazz have looked okay in the bubble. I don't know.
They thought Donovan Mitchell was so much better than Ben Simmons. I call bull.
He's not that bad. He's pretty good.
He's okay.
Quinn Snyder's the best part. I like Quinn Snyder.
Has he improved since he was a rookie? Is the question.
Well, that might be something. That might be something.
I don't think he has. Now, back to Mike Conley. I agree. I thought Mike Conley was going to be a perfect fit, a much better fit than Ricky Rubio. And like Rubio wasn't bad at all with the Jazz last year, I would say. But I thought Mike Conley was going to give them like this pit bull, defender at the point guard position. He could play off the ball. He can give them a secondary playmaker as well. I think his off the ball abilities like complemented Donovan Mitchell more than Rubio did. And he just didn't look comfortable for whatever reason. He didn't look comfortable, I guess, playing off the ball maybe that much. I don't know, but he didn't elevate this Jazz team like I thought he might.
True.
Yeah. I will say about Mike Conley, I think maybe we were expecting too much. He's only scored 20 points a game twice in his career. He's not like he never has been this guy he scored 14 this year in less minutes. Now, obviously watching the games, like it was pretty noticeably not great.
Yeah.
For a lot of it. But I'm just saying, I don't know that. And really the point that he was at in his career coming off of Memphis might've got out at a good time. It's kind of like when, well, maybe it's not like this, but when Pujols signed that huge deal in 2011, it's like he was coming off his worst year ever with the Cardinals. And then he signs a huge deal and then he sucks with the Angels and everyone's like, oh, why does he suck? And it's like, well, he's been kind of trending this way now. Like we shouldn't be that surprised that a guy this age is trending this way. So I was also disappointed. He also was my pick. But maybe, hey, I cut some slack.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what Mike Conley reminds me of?
Who?
For one, he's supposed to be, he's a good defensive player. He was horrible defensive player, getting torched defensively, right? Yeah. And then you expect Donovan Mitchell to pick up it. No, getting torched defensively, that doesn't help. What he reminds me of is there's like a magic number in like the NFL for running backs. It's like, yeah, he's good, but once he hits 31, falls off a cliff. I feel like that's kind of what happened here. He's just like, I don't know, how old is he, 32, 33? Mike Conley? It just falls off a cliff, right? He was probably trending down a little bit. Grizzlies were so, he might have got, looked at in a different way because the team wasn't that good around him. Goes to the Jazz, high hopes, but like what Mike said, kind of trending downward. 32, falls off a cliff, can't defend anybody, really can't shoot. I don't know. He's never been a great three-point shooter. And also to defend Ricky Rubio, I think he kind of fits in. I think Ricky Rubio, he always knows where to be.
You love Ricky Rubio.
If you don't ask him for too much, he gives you, he gives you what he asked for, right? He's
solid.
They got scorers. He's a solid player, right? I don't think your team doesn't get worse with Ricky Rubio. He doesn't elevate you, but your team doesn't get worse.
Yeah.
Another thing on Conley real quick.
With Mike Conley, the team got worse. That's my defense of Ricky.
Okay.
I was just going to say real quick, the Mike Conley career assist totals are always pretty low, and I think it's because he just came playing with a big guy like Gobert is totally different than like his prime years with Memphis. Like Gasol is a totally different run the offense almost through Gasol a lot. And Gobert's primarily a picking, just run downhill, try and get some blocks and defense. And I think, and just ultimately you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Donovan Mitchell's probably the go-to guy. Bogdanovich has been great for them off ball stuff. And I think he and just trying to find that fit, he just could not find it all year long.
Yeah. So sorry, Mike.
He looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in the bubble, though. I will say.
Bubble, yeah.
With no
Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
no Bogdanovich. Huh?
So maybe that's whose fault it is. All right. Put on Bogdan. Bubble MVP. Now, the man, the myth, the legend took this one. Damian Lillard, a.k.a. Dame Dollar, a.k.a. the Oakland Assassin.
I think we just mostly call him Dame Dollar. I think.
I was gonna say I have not heard those nicknames before.
those were truly off the top of the head. But Dame Dollar takes the bubble MVP, and me and Taylor voted otherwise. So I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna start. Sorry, Taylor, and tell you why. First of all, my vote came before the 61-point game. So I want to make that abundantly clear. It was before he dropped 61. Actually, Mike texted me last night and I almost changed my vote afterwards. Second of all, he gave my Sixers 56. Let me rephrase. He gave my Sixers 56 the day before I voted. So maybe there was a little animosity there. Okay.
That's possible.
No, but the real reason is Devin Booker's Phoenix Suns are 7-0. 7-0, and he's about to get them into the play-in game. I firmly believe that the Suns, because they're going to beat whoever they play tomorrow, the 8 race will be decided tomorrow. Grizzlies play the Bucks, and Giannis is suspended, but they've been so bad, I still don't have faith that they're going to win that game. I forget who Portland and Phoenix play.
Portland plays the Nets. Phoenix plays the Mavericks, and the Spurs play the Jazz.
Okay, so much easier games, in my opinion, all winnable games. Spurs probably have the toughest one of the other three, in my opinion, because the Mavs don't have much to play for. So I think that's a winnable game. I think we see the Suns and the Blazers in the play-in game. And really, we didn't give the Suns any chance at getting to that point. We gave the Blazers a chance. Yeah. I think a lot of people expected the Blazers to at least put a fight up for that spot. Mm-hmm. No one thought the Suns would be there. And it's been all because of Devin Booker, to be quite frank. Other guys have played well, don't get me wrong. But Devin Booker has been a flat-out stud. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say Phoenix has had some guys step up, and maybe not even stepping up, but just from shooting wise, they're on fire from three. The whole team, Pitt and North Carolina, we can share this guy. Cam Johnson has been actually pretty good.
That's my guy.
That's my guy too. Well, until he abandoned us, he was my guy. But yeah, how about this? Cam Johnson, that we thought was a terrible draft pick. He's looked okay. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, who obviously Luka probably should have been the pick there, but he's looked really solid too.
Yeah.
How about this? Robert Sarver, the best owner in sports?
Okay.
No.
Monty, give it up for Monty.
Yeah, shout out Monty Williams, man. He got the boys playing out there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But Dame Dollar, I think, is worthy. But go ahead, Taylor.
One quick point. The one reason, and whatever you say about Lillard, I had Devin Booker as well. Any argument you give Damian Lillard, I'll give it to you, right? But the only thing that I have to say is the Blazers got Nurkic back, they got Zach Collins back, right? It's a lot of the same players that were in the Western Conference Finals last year, right? Mm-hmm. I know Dame is going off, snapping, right? No doubt about it. But the Suns are 7-0 in the bubble. That's all I gotta say, right? Nobody expected that. They had no chance. Why are they even in the bubble? Why are they even in the bubble? Right?
I think they had the worst chance in the West.
Yeah, they did.
And Devin Booker over 30 points a game, clutch shots. I don't know. Yeah. I gave it to him. Maybe it was a sympathy vote. Maybe
I think we also need to give him credit for the big shot he hit in Kendall Jenner's Instagram comments.
Ooh, that's big.
That was very clutch.
Unfortunately, she won't be able to visit the bubble though because they do not have a long-standing relationship.
Don't they though?
She'll be back with Ben Simmons.
I don't know. I'm sure. Wow. Yeah, she's visiting Ben and seeing Devin
and Jordan Clarkson.
And Jordan Clarkson.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and half dozen other people.
Blake Griffin's not there, right? Okay. Yeah.
No.
All right. So let's go on to our next award here.
Can I just mention before we get off of Devin Booker that he beat the 76ers?
He did. Sorry. He beat up on them.
Thanks.
Just to mention that to you.
And one of the coldest buzzer beaters of the year.
35 piece.
Another light skin killer. So, comeback player of the year went to Carmelo Anthony. I think this one was,
Doug. Shout out to Doug.
There were some other votes here.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a huge gripe though? Is this something we need to talk about?
No, but
I picked Melo, but I like Markelle. I think that's not a bad pick.
I thought that was solid
as well.
Yeah, solid. And now, Mike, you had Dwight.
I picked Dwight Howard, and if you just looked at his basketball reference page, you wouldn't look at this year as a comeback player of the year. His career low in minutes and points and rebounds, but he is a very functioning member of a very good team. And I don't think that that's something we thought we'd be saying about Dwight Howard maybe ever again. He fits in well. He plays his role very well. And they actually need him, I think. I think that he is an important piece for them, and they need him, especially in the playoffs here when they try to outsize these guys. When they're lacking the guards, they're going to try to outsize these guys. They're going to need Dwight. So I went with Dwight there, but Melo's the sympathy pick. Everybody loves Melo.
You hate Melo. You hate Melo so much. You hate him so much.
I don't.
He cursed out anyone who said Melo deserves an apology.
Hey,
3 episodes ago.
He does not deserve an apology.
An above replacement starter.
He does not deserve an apology for sucking for the last 2.5 years.
You give this man an apology now.
I'm sorry you sucked and then you went and got better.
Listen, if you're tuning in and if you're listening and you like Melo, light Mike up in the comments.
I love Melo. Todd, how long have I been a Melo apologist?
He got a Melo jersey and everything.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, he sucked. That's okay. It's all right. I'm off it. It's all right.
Fair enough.
No, but I do like the Dwight pick. I already said I do really like the Dwight pick because alternate between him and JaVale McGee. You can tell they always have a rim protector on the floor. That's great. The only thing that was questionable about this is unrelated to comeback player, but it's Quinn Cook.
Why are we talking about it?
Because I just don't understand how he fits in that team with how much guard play they have, and then also picking up Dion. And I get that you want to put shooters around Braun. Don't get me wrong. But with Dion being one of your primary ball handlers, you have Caruso at that guard position. You also have JR at that guard position. It was just really weird to see them get Quinn Cook. That was
well. I will tell you.
Just don't trust him
with this Lakers team. He does not fit with this Lakers team. He will be on the bench probably through the playoffs. And if he does have to play, then they're in big trouble.
Quinn Cook is a ring.
That's what I thought.
They got the Caruso, baby.
Yeah.
He's a ring collector. He's like Patrick McGaw. He's the new Patrick McGaw.
Yeah.
Also, I will say on Melo, he's only averaging 2 more points than he did in Houston.
He hates Melo.
He's averaging less points than he did in Oklahoma City. When is he coming back from?
Listen, it's about your impact, baby.
He was out the
league.
That's cool.
Come on, man.
Okay.
All right. Enough Melo.
But one more thing on Melo. No.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So let's get to the real awards. Not that ours aren't real. Defensive Player of the Year went to Giannis Antetokounmpo, aka the Greek Freak of the Milwaukee Bucks, and this is his first time winning the award. He might win it he might win the actual award. I think he has the best opponent field goal percentage in the paint or something like that. Is 4th in 50-50 balls recovered or some crazy stat they were showing like that on ESPN. He's been, obviously an excellent defender throughout his entire career, but I think this year he took it to another level. Any gripes about Giannis winning Defensive Player of the Year at all?
Let me make my AD case real quick.
Go right ahead.
So, AD, I think overall, if I had to pick one defender, I want AD on my team as a defender. He was one of only 2 people to average 1.5 steals and 2 blocks this year, and I'm saying that because not only can he guard any big you want, he can guard guards. He can switch on to guards, and he can play them as well as any big in the league. I think Giannis has incredible numbers, but we keep going back to like the Bucks have like historic numbers in every category, offense and defense, and we still don't think that they're like this juggernaut that is going to run through the finals, right? I think that they are really deep, great regular season team. For me, the Lakers, the lack of perimeter defense, the lack of, Avery Bradley was great, but even Avery Bradley is not like, they don't have a truly elite, perimeter defense. And I think that AD gets caught with a lot of that slack. They put, pick and roll. If I have one pick and roll defender in the league, you give me AD on that backside. I think that he's elite. I think switch him on, and I just think that, like I said, I think his numbers get hurt a little bit because of that Lakers, the lack of perimeter defense. But I think that just watching the game at eye test level, I think that he just makes the biggest impact on defense as anybody in the league.
Fair. It's weird also that AD's been in the league this long, and like his defensive impact is, always up there, and he probably won't win it this year. I would say he could. I don't know, but he probably won't win it again this year. And he doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year award yet. That is strange to me because like he's widely known as one of the best defenders in the league.
Yeah,
and one of the most impactful defenders. It's weird, right?
Do you know how easy it is if I was Anthony Davis? I got LeBron out there locking up everybody that tries to get by him. This would be so. No, but seriously, I have Giannis here. So just. Maybe the eye test thing is true. And I think it's probably close eye test. Giannis just covers so much ground.
Yeah.
And he is basically playing center a lot of the time. But like defensive box plus minus. So like if you're above 0, you're a good defender. If you're below 0, you're probably not a great defender compared to the average guy. Giannis leads the league 4.1. The next highest guy is 2.6. So like pretty big gap there. Between Giannis and the next highest guy. And then defensive win shares, he leads the league as well. Anthony Davis is second, though. But so just looking at it from that, and then if you want to say the eye test is close, then maybe I think Giannis, he gets it, yeah.
Fair.
For sure.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next award. And this one, we're going to have to decide live on the show. The Sixth Man of the Year award. We obviously, as you can see, we have 5 voters. 2 voted for Schroeder, 2 voted for Montrezl Harrell, 1 voted for Lou Williams. So Taylor, being the one person who voted for Lou Williams, is going to decide after we make a little argument here for each of our candidates. So I voted for Montrezl Harrell. Todd, were you who else was it that voted for Harrell? You were the other one, right?
Harrell too. Yeah.
So Todd, I'm going to let you take this one and give the defense for Harrell. Mike, Sean, who wants to go for Dennis Schroeder?
John.
What's up, Mike? Give it to
I can take it. Okay.
Mike? Okay. All right. So you guys give the cases for these guys. Taylor, you are the deciding vote for Sixth Man of the Year.
Wait. Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Yes.
You know how many times I've mediated arguments between these two in my life? and whether or not, okay, I'm just going to tell you this, whether or not Todd was right, and I agree with Todd, Mikey always makes it, he always puts it in a way that I'm like,
Well, maybe.
I see that side too.
I'm good at arguing.
I'll be unbiased. Let's
Okay.
go. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Go first. You can go first, Todd. You can go first.
All right, cool. So Harrell, okay, I think, he is like this linchpin behind, like, obviously you got Kawhi and Paul George, but I think that he is like the glue to that team. He brings energy. I think a lot of nights you have, random people, random lineups for the Clippers, but he is that guy that brought the energy every night. He is critical. Like I said, the linchpin is as far as their frontline defense. Like, he is the big guy that just guards people. He's a dog. He gets the boards. He can push the break. And, he had solid numbers, but I think overall the case for Harrell is that he is a critical part to that Clippers team, who's the second seed in the West. And Lou Will, I think, is close. But Lou Will, he does what Lou Will has been doing for a long time. And I think that second wave, I think that just the difference that Harrell makes when he's on the court for the second best team in the West, I think that's the difference. Like, Schroeder is great, don't get me wrong. And that 3-guard lineup in OKC is amazing. But I think that, if who's more critical to the success of their team, I think it's Harrell.
That's a good case. I like Harrell a lot, and he's probably having his best season he's had. He's averaging 18. Good energy guy, right? An average defender, I would probably say. Not that good, but he's solid out there. He's not going to be enough to stop AD if we want to talk about that, but good offensive player, really good rim diver. So Schroeder, like, best season ever. He honestly could be in a most improved conversation as well. So let's pull up just the stuff. I mean, he's averaging 18, 19 really, 4 assists, playing in that 3-guard system or really 2-guard a lot of the time if he's in with Paul or SGA. He just fits his role really nice. He's having career high in averages. Actually, the knock on him has always been the defense. He's actually picked it up to a level this year where he's averaged to actually doing a pretty good job. I'd probably call him a good defender this year even. Obviously, he has trouble with guys who have a little more size when he's in there playing the 2-guard role. But off the bench, he creates a lot of energy. And the second unit for the Thunder has really been the unsung hero of really the entire Western Conference because, when you look at that roster, and we're talking earlier about how Chris Paul is, the best ever and doing all this shit.
Amazing.
Schroeder really is doing just as much as Chris Paul here if you look at the numbers, and the bench unit where the Thunder really had their advantage with that bench unit, and Schroeder's leading the way there. And if you want to talk about Harrell being the really important guy on the second best team in the league or the second best team in the West, well, like, Schroeder's a really important guy on a team who we didn't expect to be anything this year, but because of his play is a 4 or 5 seed this year. So it's close. You can go either way, but I like Schroeder this year, 19-4, and he's shooting it super well, 47% and 38 from 3 this year. Like, he's really stepped it up this year.
All right, so Taylor, you got the definitive vote. Who are you picking, Dennis Schroeder or Montrezl Harrell?
Well, I tell you, going into this, I did vote for Lou Williams, just because just watching the Clippers without him in the bubble just kind of just goes to show, like, they need that third offensive threat. So that's off Lou Williams. My second vote would have been Montrezl Harrell, and that's before the arguments. And I understand the arguments completely. I do agree that Schroeder, this is the first year that he's like really, really like taking a step back. It seems, understood his role, excelled in his role, led the second unit. But I love the impact, the eye test, whatever you want to call it, 18 points a game, Montrezl Harrell, that he brings to the second seed in the West, right? The Clippers are one of the best. They're could be the favorite right now. I don't know Vegas odds right now, but they are the favorites, right? So I don't know. He works so hard, second unit, does all the dirty work. Not a great defender. He's kind of undersized, but he hustles, I think Lou Williams kind of, they have the best pick and roll duo they did last year, at least ever. True. Almost statistically. I like Montrezl Harrell. I think he deserves it. I think Schroeder's a good second. I think he has a good runner up, but I'm going to go Montrezl.
Okay. So we will change the award this year to the 7th man award.
All right. So a little salt there for Mike. As Montrezl Harrell.
Salt is the
7th Harrell wins the 6.5 man award of this year. So if you disagree, comment. Let us know who you got. Or if you had your 6th man is Lou Will, go ahead, throw it in the comments. Next award we have is Most Improved. And before we even get to this, I just want to say that this was probably, other than 6th man, the hardest award. Like, there were so many guys that deserve this. They narrowed it down to 3, of course, for us. But like Devontae Graham, who didn't get nominated for this, had an excellent case for Most Improved Player. And there were a few others that had an argument as well. Even Pascal Siakam has a, a case here. So there was a lot of improvement in the NBA this year, which is great to see always. But the winner of this category for us this year was Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans, who saw an incredible.
Yeah, Coop, I agree with that.
And talk about how much better he was this year. But Brandon Ingram wins the most improved player. Anybody with a gripe, I really feel someone else should have won this award.
I just want to say I wanted to vote for Bam.
Me too.
Yeah. I already said I don't have a big gripe because I do think there may be a better case to be made about Brandon Ingram. I'm not mad at that. Mm-hmm. Me, I went with Shea. And the reason I went with Shea is obviously he's being mentored under CP3, along with his contribution to this OKC team. So coming off of 10 points last year, or close to 11, he's now up at 19. And I think that's kind of really the end of the argument, unless you're factoring in his impact on the team. Because the stats from Brandon Ingram being on that Pelicans team obviously increased with them being the go-to option on that squad. So his numbers are a little bit better, but I was measuring that along with the impact, and I think Shea's going to be pretty good in the future.
He is going to be really good, yeah. And really Shea, I think Shea has just as good an argument as Luka has. If you look at most improved players, so if you look at last year compared to this year, the argument there is that do you give it to a guy who's in his second year going from a rookie to a sophomore year? I don't know. I think probably it's okay to do if the jump is there, which it was for both of these guys. So I don't hate either of them if they were to win this award. Obviously Shea was not a finalist, but Luka was. I went with Bam myself. And Brandon Ingram was really good. He jumped 5 points. A lot of it was just change of scenery, but he also did get a lot better. And the shooting was so much better this year, the 3-point shooting. But Bam really took a leap where not only was there a statistical jump, obviously, and he's getting more minutes, and he's so involved in the team now, in the defense. He's obviously like the centerpiece there, even with the rest of the guys that they have. But then offensively now we're really there. He's becoming one of these guys, this is kind of like the last 5 years, probably we've seen this a lot now where, a lot of offenses, when they run their sets, it's like, okay, let's get it to the high post. Let the center work here. Everybody clears out like this, kind of like Todd High. We used to run in high school actually, but
5 out Todd High, baby.
5 out Todd High. We used to run that a lot. And Bam has become a guy who can do that serviceably. And before this year, I think they looked at him, and probably deservingly so, his first 2 years, and it was like, we can't go through him on offense. We can't really have him have the ball on offense. He's a guy who he'll have putbacks if he gets an offensive rebound, or maybe he's diving to the rim, but that's really it. And he was a negative on the offensive end. And then that's really why they looked at Hassan Whiteside, and they said okay, we actually need you to play. I'm sure that they didn't want him to play. Another guy that I really hate, Hassan Whiteside. But they kind of had to, because they're like, well, we need someone who can handle the ball because we don't have these guys. Now they get Jimmy this year, and they say okay, we can afford to have Bam out there a lot. And Bam improved a lot over the offseason. He got a lot better at it. So, and then he improved. I think he's up 8 points per game, and he's a really, really important piece on a really, really good team. So I gave him the vote. Certainly no gripes though with BI.
Fair. So
I wanted to give to Bam so bad, but
yeah,
I just
me
think
too.
Ingram across the board, better 3-point percentage, free throw, rebounding, steals, points. I think he really evolved this year into a primary scoring option on a team that obviously didn't do as well as expected, but maybe with Zion, we'll see. Maybe Zion, his numbers dip, but I think Ingram I gave it to him because he got more of a chance. With the Lakers, he was playing with Braun. You could tell that's not really his game, and I think the first year that he kind of did get the keys, I think he showed that he is an all-star level talent. But obviously, but I really did. I want Bam on my team 10 times out of 10 over Ingram, but I just think for this category, I was really on the fence, but Ingram just slightly got it for me.
Yeah. So I'm a big Bam fan as well, especially as a former point guard who didn't have the luxury of playing with a ton of like talented bigs. But shout out to my guy Devin Thomas. He was the best big man I ever played with, who went to Wake Forest. But like the reason I love Bam, and
shout out my guy Tim Betts, the best big guy I ever played with.
But the thing I love about Bam is in pick and roll situations, he's like one of the few big men who catches in that in-between area and knows how to turn, face, and make the next pass. Like I watched so many big men catch in that situation and fumble that shit or walk, travel, you know what I mean? And it's just ugly. It's like, God, you can't even pass you the ball in between unless it's like a lob or, you know what I mean? We're gifting you a layup. Seeing a big man who can actually just catch, turn, make the next pass, or turn, put the ball on the floor one time and dribble and finish is great. We need more big men that can do that. So shout out to my guy Bam, man. It was tough not voting for him.
They're pretty tight on the travels this year in the bubble, I would say. Will we agree?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of that being called.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
So next category, Coach of the Year. Finalists for this one were Billy Donovan, Mike Budenholzer, and Nick Nurse. And this award unanimously went to Mike's favorite person in the world, Nick Nurse.
He's not my favorite person.
Behind DeMar.
Okay, I'm sorry. Favorite coach in the world, Nick Nurse.
You know what I think? I think we should split it.
Oh my God.
Who thought of that? Who said, yeah, let's do that? Who did that?
And didn't include Nurse.
And didn't include Nurse, yeah.
That's ridiculous. I just thought that was funny.
Next award, since we were all unanimous on that one,
we
have one more we were all unanimous on. Rookie of the Year. This one of the finalists between Zion, Kendrick Nunn, and Ja Morant went to, drumroll please, Ja Morant. I think that's pretty obvious. He might unanimously win it in real life. Zion's going to steal some votes. Just off of his name.
Disgraceful.
But he's going to steal like 2 or 3 votes, but this should obviously go to Ja Morant. The best rookie in the league. Todd thinks he should have went number 1, looking hindsight. I'll get to that in a couple of weeks in an article. We'll see. But a fair argument can be made there, especially with the direction the NBA is moving in. Fair argument can be made there. So
he needs to learn how to land, though. He can't.
Yes, he scares me. Yeah, he scares me.
I'm getting flashbacks of Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose. It's scary. But
time will tell. But this year's Rookie of the Year, absolutely Ja Morant. And last, but certainly not least, the biggest award unanimously went to the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Todd, you're shaking your head, and I was expecting you to vote for LeBron. What happened, man?
I wanted to. I really wanted to. I've had a lot of time to stop and think about it, and I can't delineate between the LeBron, fanboy in me, and it was one of those things where I had to take a step back and saw everyone around me was picking Giannis, and as much as I believe LeBron is the MVP, I think Giannis deserves the MVP, and he had an historic year. Honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, that guy had a crazy year, and he deserves it.
So everybody around you said, "Todd, you should be unbiased." Got it. Cool. Gotcha. Got it. Nah, Giannis is a beast, man.
Yeah. So Giannis,
pick Bron anyway.
According to the All In Network, Giannis is going to be the first player to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year since Hakeem Olajuwon. Is that correct?
Wow.
With the Houston Rockets, Michael Jordan was the only other player to do it at all, but his was done, I believe, in '88. So Hakeem Olajuwon was the last player to do it when he won MVP with the Rockets.
That's decent company.
That is very, very, very decent. That sounds like an all-star caliber player to me. Someone who can do that. But all right. Well, that wraps up all the awards that we have for today's show. So before we wrap it up, any final comments from any of our panelists? We'll start with Sean. Any final comments?
Why you start with me?
Well, because you're next to me on my Zoom screen here, so I'm going in order.
I don't know, man. I don't have anything. I already say I'm honestly just excited for some playoff ball. I already say the bubble is a different atmosphere, and it's been great. I think it's helped a lot of people numbers wise because we got fresh legs. You had a break. We got to really see the people that's putting in the work in the off time. And I don't think Zion's one of them. First of all, when he runs, his feet barely come off the ground, but it's a 45-inch vert, which is nuts to me.
He waddles.
Yeah, he's like boop, boop. Back and forth. And it's funny because I was watching ball with Crystal, and she pointed it out. I was like, hustle. I would say hustle plays like when they're getting out in transition. He is actually last a lot of times. And at first, I was like, maybe he's not out of shape. Like maybe he actually is in shape, and he's just big, and he's flexing, showing his muscles. I think he's out of shape. I think that's why. I already say, but that's just me.
He's young.
I feel
he's
like
got baby fat.
I feel like
we all got a little bit when you're young.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Not
Sean,
like
I feel like we need one episode, just one, where you don't bring up your fiance. Just one. That's all.
Wait, Sean,
hey, bang! Get in, get on the pod. Funny.
But all jokes aside, we appreciate you coming on the show today, man. Joining the All In NBA panel, giving your votes and everything like that, dedicating your time. We appreciate that. Taylor, any final thoughts for the episode today?
2 final thoughts. So I don't understand the coach of the year. We talked about that. I don't get it. I don't get it. Nick Nurse, clear. I mean, without Giannis, and the team looks better, right? Like, I don't understand. And the second thing, Carmelo Anthony, closest thing to Hoodie Melo that I've seen in the bubble. I think it's the maybe it's the environment. I don't know, the rec league style. I don't know what it is. But I see Hoodie Melo in the bubble, and I like.
Look at Mike. That's not a hoodie. It's a turtleneck. It ain't a hoodie. It's like, no.
I love Melo. Don't get me started on that.
Does love Melo. He does love Melo.
Todd, any last thoughts?
No, I left it all on the floor today. All I gotta say is arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor.
Yes. No. That's not a laughing matter. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor.
No, yes, I was laughing at him.
No. Well, he slid that in there after telling a joke.
Yeah.
We need to highlight that. Arrest them.
Yeah, that's real tough. That's real tough.
Arrest.
Blake Griffin might have been onto something. Let's use reverse psychology. Don't arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. We're going to use reverse psychology. Don't do it. Let's see if that gets something done.
In front of people.
I was going to say they're going to clip that.
They're gonna clip it.
Yo, come on, don't do that. Don't do that to me.
And people
gonna say I'm anti-black.
He said, "Don't do it." He said, "Don't do it." That's what I'm gonna do to you, man.
My guy, my partner in crime,
bro.
Mikey Badzik. Any other thoughts for today's show?
No, we appreciate our panel for voting for us and submitting your votes. We did not give you a ton of notice, so we appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on. Guys, everybody watching, subscribe to the channel, guys. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we go live again and when we drop videos. Carter Hoek, is that your boy, Coop? Is that your boy?
My young PG, shout out Carter.
He commented on this video. Mike is the type to put Fred VanVleet all NBA third team.
Now
I might.
Get him up, Carter.
Close.
Get him, Carter.
I was close.
I just might do that. That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, if you watch the finals last year, he's definitely a top 2 point guard in the league. The other one being Kyle Lowry.
Oh my God.
If you watch the finals last year, thank you, Carter, for giving me an opportunity to talk about my guy Fred.
Jesus. All right.
Mike is silly.
That's enough from you. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of the All In Podcast. Like Mike said, make sure you subscribe. All subscriptions matter. So please subscribe to the channel. Those of you who will be listening to this on audio after the fact, make sure you leave a rating, reviews, things like that. All of that helps us reach broader audiences. So thank you guys so much for tuning in so far. New episode of Rain and Bliss coming at you tomorrow or Thursday if you're listening retroactively. And if you're tuning into the live or if you missed the live, you can catch it on our YouTube channel as well. It'll be posted there. But again, thanks to our excellent panel. This was fun, live on YouTube for the first time. So again, we appreciate you guys joining us for this. First of many, hopefully.
Right.
Thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode, and we will see you guys on Monday.
Peace.
Peace out.
See ya.